I would just jump in. So, can you remember, or can you tell us, what was the reason you first picked up a guitar? Like, what inspired you to do that?
That's a good starting question, Dave. So I got my first electric guitar. It was a wee pink half-size electric Explorer made by Artist. Got it for when I was 7 years old for Christmas morning. I got into trouble from my mum, because I ran down Christmas morning, seen the guitar, and then went and woke up my mum and dad at like 5 in the morning or something. Look what Santa got me. The time they were raging because I'd ruined Christmas, as you do when you're 7. So that was the first guitar. I made some noises on that, and then that kind of just went in the cupboard with a karate suit and the space hopper, as you do.
Every 7-year-old, yeah.
It's never to be seen again until I was 14, and then my sister started playing some tunes on the guitar, and I got jealous because I was like, what's going on here? I'm the guitar player, I play the guitar, because that time I had a guitar when I was 7.
Yeah.
So I started learning to try and get like better than her, and then she sort of left it, and I just stuck with it, and there you go, 40 years later or however old I am. But my dad plays the guitar, and my stepdad played the guitar as well, so guitar's always been around. What about you, Dave? What was it for you?
I mean, honestly, it was for me, it was like my dad played guitar, and I was like, I think it was, when I got around like 11, 12, I was like, I want to play guitar too, because my folks would have parties and all their friends would come over and they'd be playing guitar. And one day my dad came home with this bright red Stratocaster, and I was like, that's cool. And every time my dad went out and I was in the house by myself, I'd bang away on the Strat and I was able to play nothing. He'd come over and was like, why is my guitar out of tune? I don't know, mustn't stay in tune very well, Dad. I don't know. Yeah, then I got my first guitar then that Christmas, and then it was like, right, and it was a really bad, looking back on it, it was a really bad Les Paul copy, and it was Cherry Sunburst, and it was the greatest guitar in the world to me. And then a little bit older, kind of stopped playing a bit because it was difficult. And then I was at a party with my own friends, like my own age group, and there was a fella called James, and James just out of nowhere picked up the guitar and he played a tune. Can you remember what it was? Basically, all the girls wanted to know James then. So I was like, dude, I'm gonna learn me something on the guitar again. Next party I went to, I played Come As You Are by Nirvana on some random acoustic that I found in the corner, and nobody cared. So I was like, well, I'll stick with it, I suppose. So I've been obsessed with it ever since.
See, it might not have been James's first gig, you know.
He had that up his sleeve. He knew what he was doing.
Nice. So I'm assuming the girls came eventually, yeah, for you.
I mean, maybe one or two were into playing the guitar. Yeah, I don't know. Probably not the ones I was intending to play for, but you know, yeah, it was fine. So yeah, it was a good time of learning on crappy budget guitars and stuff like that.
So what kind of without asking you your age or that, like what time was this? Just like 90s, teens?
Yeah, definitely. It would have been Britpop Central. I kind of missed grunge first time around, and I was in straight into Britpop, so it was like Pulp, Blur, Oasis, James, Suede, all those kind of bands. And that was like, you know, I spent so many days after school sitting down trying to play Parklife and Disco 2000 and all those kind of tunes. And then, you know, I used to get the Guitar Magazine, little tab section in the back, and like if it's a band that I knew that I liked at the time, I was like, I'm gonna sit there and learn their song. This will impress somebody. That was my. Yeah. What about you? When did you what kind of stuff were you getting into, and what era?
So second time round, it was about the same time, 90s. I think one of the first songs I remember, I don't know why this just came to me, was I remember learning Wild Thing.
Yes.
I don't know what key the original's in, but for some reason I was playing it with E, A, and B. B is a random first chord first 3 chords for a lot of people to learn, but there you go. And it was a bit mangled. It wasn't a proper bar chord B, it was a bit of a mangled B, but we got there. I quickly got the What's the Story Morning Glory tab book, and sort of blasted through that fairly quickly.
Nice.
Because I used to run home from school at dinner times to go and play the guitar and learn the guitar. Weirdly, I just got into all the shreddy stuff straight after that. It was like Joe Satriani, Steve Vai,
Nice.
Became
Nice.
totally obsessed with him. Like Neil Bencourt's like my number one guy. My sister was into him when like More Than Words stuff came out. Well, actually, she didn't fall out of favour with it. She's still into them. Me and my sister actually went to see Extreme again a few months ago in Glasgow. Played for a bit, and then when I went to music college, I got sort of introduced to loads of different stuff that I'd never heard before, like and stuff that I used to listen to when I was really young, like Michael Jackson and Jamiroquai, and then I got into my dad's record collection, the Steely Dans and the Stevie Wonders and all that. And then kind of stopped listening to guitar music altogether, and yeah, that's kind of where we're at now.
So musically, like it was like Oasis were big for you in learning, and then you went on to like the Steve Vais and so on.
Yeah, but I mean, I never learned any of the Steve Vai stuff or that. Well, right. I mean, I say I never learned it. I tried to learn that, and I would learn like the melodies of the big ones, like your For the Love of God and all that kind of stuff. But
yeah,
I know the guitar instrumentals, but the songs do still have solo sections. So when it comes away from the melody and goes into the solo, like the crazy stuff, I can never do any of that. I just appreciated it and liked learning the wee nuggets. I only ever got as far as nuggets. That was it.
I thought it was really cultured because I'd read stuff about like Blur's influences or Oasis influence. So I was like learning the Beatles and the Kinks. It's just all kinds of bands like that. Like learning Kinks songs was like my party piece, and everyone would be like, you're all into all these 60s bands and stuff. Yeah. And then one day I like came across Led Zeppelin, and I was like, that's what I want to play, but I'd find the easy ones to like, the easy versions of different songs and never get much further than that, because I didn't realize Jimmy Page was a guitar god at the time. I was like, this is going to be easy. Sounds great. But yeah, this is essentially like the 90s was a great time though, because all these bands were coming out and talking about who they listened to and who influenced them. So like I'd listen to Parklife, and then I'd go listen to Waterloo Sunset and be like, I can see the connection there, and there's 30 years between them. There's great music to be listening to, and just trying to, and like the Kinks songs I've always found hilarious. So it's like there's just so much fun in there that you don't find in other songs of the era or certain eras. So yeah, stuff like that was always big for me. Like I'd come home like yourself, straight onto the stereo, pick up the guitar and try and play. But it was a lot of like very straightforward, easy stuff for me. I never went down the Satriani, Steve Vai, shredder stuff because I know my limitations. That's why I'm 3-chord Dave.
I'm a big fan of the Kinks as well. I love it. Like you say, they've got a lot of sort of sarcasm and wit in their delivery. Not just the lyrics, it's the kind of the prosody, how the sort of lyric fits the music and that as well. Great stuff, absolutely love it. That time in the 90s, so it wasn't just the Oasis, but all the bands you mentioned, but plus I really like Kula Shaker and Blue Ocean Colour Scene and Ash, just all them kind of Britpop bands. I loved all that stuff.
Man, I loved Ash so much. Like one of my favorite bands of all time, and I got a really cool thing that happened. They used to make films for a living, very bad independent films, but we made one and we reached out to Ash. We were like, any chance we could like work with on some music, and they did it. They gave us a song called Return of White Rabbit for one of our movies that we made, and they were very cool. They were like, if it makes money, send us a check. If it doesn't, don't worry about it. And it never made any money, so they never so Ash, if you're watching, it never made any money, so don't worry about it. But we were in contact with them. In a similar vein, we reached out kind of naively at one point to Led Zeppelin's people to try and get Immigrant Song for a film we were making. Closest we got was they gave us a quote. They were like, $2.5 million, and you can have the song. We were like, oh, well, we've got like 10,000, but we need that to make the movie. We can't give it all to Led Zeppelin. They were like, get $2.5 million and you got it. One of the things I wanted to ask you about was, because we talk a lot on my channel about guitars and signature guitars. So if you were getting a signature guitar from Fender or Gibson or Jet or PRS or whoever, have you got any kind of thoughts on what you would ask for, what you would design?
It's only the kind of thing that I dream about every single night and
That's
all day. Specking out guitars. I've almost did it with not like got a signature model, but with one of the Jet guitars that I've modded. Spent not a load of money, but more than the guitar's worth on modding it to my specifications. It's basically it would be an HSS Strat of some sort, because I like my cleans.
You do.
And because of gig, it needs to be kind of versatile, so I can't think of anything more versatile than an HSS Strat in terms of your sounds that you can get. It's got to be comfy, lightweight. I like my roasted maple necks. This thing here, is it there? Where is it? Have we got the right finger? No. Yeah, it's just there. You go. That's a Fender parts caster thing that I did. Oh yeah, it's a JV, Squire JV body. You know they did the International Series colours.
Yeah.
This is like the original Squire one of them. So that is Maui Blue. Oh man, the story of the roasted maple neck on this Fender is a long one that I need to do a video on. Well, I'll tell you really quickly. All right then, seeing as the asked. So I'm in the roasted maple necks, and this particular spec is the one that I like. So USA Fender Strat, so it's like 9.5 inch radius, 22 frets, and a modern C shape, right? You think standard, but you can't actually get that from Fender. They don't sell it. They only sell it as a 21 fret, or you can get 22 frets and a flat oval thing, like a thin shreddy neck, but they don't do the one I'm after. But they did do this guitar exclusive player Strat that had a roasted maple neck with that spec. So I ended up buying two of them, one from Guitar and one used later on, just to get the necks off them, sold the bodies, and that neck went on there. There you go. That's how you get that roasted maple neck. You need to buy that specific guitar exclusive.
Buy a different guitar just for the neck. Yeah, absolutely.
I've always done crazy stuff like that, like just stupid, convoluted ideas, because you just can't get what you want off the shelf. So that's what it's all about. So that kind of thing would probably be in the spec list. That's it. What about yourself? Tell us all about it, Dave. What would you have?
I'm kind of torn because I think they're heading towards doing it for me anyway, but not a signature guitar for me. They're just gonna put it out there. But like I'm a Gibson style player, really. Like I'm mostly into the Gibson. I have a Strat. It's a Harley Benton Strat and a Harley Benton Telly and a Squire Telly, but I just always gravitate towards my SG mostly and my Flying V, and I've convinced myself I need to buy a Les Paul, even though I'm not sure I do, but. But I do. I prefer like the necks and everything on Gibsons and on SG. The SG is my favorite guitar. So what I'd like to do is combine an SG and a Les Paul, like same body width and weight and everything as an SG, but kind of they're more similar in shape to a Les Paul, the top curve, and just a single cutaway basically. SG is what I want them to do, and I'd probably do like some sort of wacky paint job, like not a Screamadelica Fender type thing, but probably not far off. I wouldn't mind doing something like that with nice kind of fun colors and stuff like that. I'm all into just bright, vibrant colors on things. So yeah, I'd like that. But at the same time, if they actually offered me, I'd be like, well, just reissue one of the guitars I already have, slap my name on it, and give me 50 quid for each one you sell.
You've got close ties with Cesar, is that how it says now?
I don't know if I can say that, but it's a secret. But yeah, he's my best bud. No, the story there is that he's really unhappy that I keep finding information out about Gibsons and Epiphones, and then I don't hold back. So even if somebody has been told it with a non-disclosure or an embargo date, I don't have that. So as soon as I find out about it, I just put it out. So yeah, Cesar is not my friend. I don't think he hasn't said he's not my friend, but I don't think I'm too welcome in his offices. But I'm going to try and get him on my channel at some point. I'm going to ask him. The invitations, like it's an open invitation out there, but I'm going to try and reach out to him and see, will he come on and talk to us and just talk about what it's like being the president of Gibson and all that sort of fun stuff. Because at his heart, he's a guitar player who loves guitars. He's like us, except he's got this cool gig. I mean, we might have cool gigs, I don't know, but he's top man in like Gibson guitars, which I find incredibly cool. But the fact that he's my secret source, I can't actually reveal that. It's a secret.
Would you be asking him to explain himself on the prices?
One of the things that brought Gibson down in the Henry J era, like before they had to be sold off to the new ownership, to the current ownership, is that they kept diversifying into stupid things like or personal electronics and the fashion brands and stuff they were buying. They were buying all these companies that they had no use for and they had no kind of knowledge of. And Gibson's starting to do that again. You can go on Gibson's website and buy like a bag for $400 and like a bandana for $80. And it's like, all right, it's not the 80s. We're not buying bandanas anymore, unless we're going to see Hulk Hogan and doing a wrestling match or something, but we're not doing it, man. That's even went to Guns N' Roses show. There's like 3 people wearing bandanas, and one of them is still Axl Rose. And I was like, they're doing that, but now they've got like Gibson Publishing. I got their book right there, and they got Gibson Films, and I think they're taking their eye off the ball for the sake of brand awareness. But the only thing you need for brand awareness as a guitar company is make the best guitars you can make. This is a long-winded response to what you said, but like, and look, I'm not a top-level businessman, so probably we'll just knock this back with like, Dave, you're an idiot. It's fine. Guitar prices, they're putting them up to a level that I think like Epiphone's coming out at nearly $2,000 now. So
Yeah.
that's like I know I was shouting about this 2 years ago. Literally, people called me an idiot for saying that Epiphones were going to be $2,000. And the thing about that is, when it happened, people were like, nobody saw this coming. How is it? Why are they doing this now? It's like, no, I've been telling you this for 2 years. So you just didn't believe me. But I can't see it. Like, at the end of the day, they're the same factory. It's the same workers, shipping distance to and from these places. I understand signature guitars are more expensive, and if you're upping the quality of the materials and stuff, it has to be more expensive. That's fine. But like, trying to justify an Epiphone that's $600 versus $1,800, like that's $1,200 for the same thing, essentially. I think they are taking the piss a little bit, but at the same time, like 5 years ago, I bought a Gibson SG brand new for $599. Has things gone up that much where it's not possible to do that anymore? Like, or it's not even possible under 1,000? So I feel like they're taking this. So yeah, if I get them online, if I get them on a video, I'll be like, dude, why is everything so expensive? And he'll say inflation. And I'll be like, no, tell me why.
Yeah, that's that. I've seen some other channels and videos talking about, well, if you take into account inflation and the price of this and that, and they've done calculations and they're saying that the sort of outcome is, well, the guitars are actually cheaper now than they were then. And it's just, doesn't compute for me. I mean, I'm sure it is. Maybe the maths works out, but maybe it's just like I've just turned into one of them. Well, in my day, you used to be able to get a guitar for, but I don't know. Maybe that's what it is, but it certainly doesn't feel like that. It's like, really? For an Epiphone?
Like, yeah, I think the difference is, you used to be, if you had like a good job, you would save up for like 2 or 3 months, you could afford your Epiphone. But now you've got to save up for 6 to 12 months to get an Epiphone. And it's bringing them out. I mean, look, they still do make cheap guitars, but the ones that you're looking at when you get a little bit more experience, those are all very expensive. People were looking for a Silver Burst Les Paul. It's not my cup of tea, but people were looking for that for a long time. They were always at me like, any news on a Silver Burst? And I'm like, no, but like, get better taste. But I just really hate that color, man. I don't know why. But yeah, it was like, they could sell millions of those, I think. Hundreds of thousands of them without a problem at $700, no problem. But they're selling them and not selling out 800 of each version when they're charging 1,200 or 1,400 in Europe. So to me, again, not a top level businessman, but if you're going to sell those guitars and people want them, you got to price them where they will pay for them. And they seem to have made a mess of that, in my opinion. But then these new ones that they brought out last week, they're flying. Like, they're selling so many of them, and they're more expensive, but they're just more what people wanted.
Is this the Adam Jones one you're talking about?
Yeah.
The Silver Burst, is that a Sig model, or is that's just the Silver Burst?
It's a signature model, yeah.
Is that, well, that's Adam Jones again, is it?
Yeah.
All right, okay. Sorry, got you.
Yeah, he's got about 27,000 signature Gibson Les Paul customs in Silver Burst now. Like, there's so many.
Like the new Slash kind of thing.
Yeah, or the new Bonamassa, like where Bonamassa has one a year. He did, like, Adam Jones had like 7, 8 in a year.
What was the Bonamassa one? Is it this year or last year? Was it an SG with a Fibrola or something like that? Actually, pretty cool.
Yeah, pretty nice guitar. My only issue with that guitar was the price of it. Like, it was, I think, 1,400 pounds or euros when it came out. It's got Epiphone Pro Booker pickups rather than if it had Gibson pickups, it'd probably be better. There's nothing wrong with Pro Bookers, but if you're charging top dollar, I think you got to have top dollar parts. And like, I've probably on my channel given out so much about those things that they're doing that people are sick of hearing it. But if I went to a restaurant and I ordered a hamburger in the restaurant and they brought me out a McDonald's hamburger and charged me 40 quid for it, I'd be like, no, that's not going to happen. So if you're going to charge me big money, put the big stuff into it.